Hey everyone, Tim Taylor here again. Just a quick video around recent industry activity on speeding up the interconnection of generation and storage to transmission. FERC had a workshop on September 12th and 13th of 2024 with a focus on how to improve efficiencies in the interconnection process, including the use of some innovative methods. And there was a lot of great discussion among a wide range of stakeholders. But the overall tone of that workshop was that FERC Order 2023 brought some good improvements to interconnection, but if further measures aren't taken and quickly, then we will find ourselves increasingly in a crisis where the growing electricity demand is going to outpace the generation storage resources that we have to serve them, and the result will be severe threats to reliability. So after watching that workshop in real time, I wanted to highlight a few points that are not directly involved in the interconnection queue, but were discussed to a significant extent during the 2 days of that workshop, and thus the naming of my video of Going Outside the Queue. First, just a reminder as to what the cluster study approach looks like as described in FERC Order 2023 in the pro forma large generator interconnection procedures. This is a very simplified figure based on the description in that order. Also remember that transmission providers can propose modifications contained in the pro forma procedures to FERC in compliance filings and with subsequent review and approval by FERC, and that process is currently ongoing. But first, I wanted to touch upon transmission planning that is done by the transmission providers. Now, many people refer to this as proactive transmission planning, but I tend to think the term proactive is a bit redundant when you're referring to planning, because planning is by definition looking into the future and is therefore proactive. Nonetheless, some of the main ideas that have gained significant traction in the last few years is to use the transmission planning process to improve the amount of data and information that is fed to developers and transmission owners before they actually submit their projects into the queue. Now, presently, developers, or these interconnection customers, as they're sometimes called, they can only get good cost and timing information about a potential project by entering the queue. And since many projects never come to fruition and withdraw from the queue because higher cost and project durations are discovered during the study phase, this has a cascading effect in terms of restudies that have to be done, which then lengthens the time to get through the queue. So with improved transmission planning, the goal is to give interconnection customers more certain cost information and project duration information before the project goes into the queue, and therefore speeding things up. There was a lot of discussion at the FERC meeting and workshop around an innovative approach that Southwest Power Pool, or SPP, has been working on for some time based on an entry fee that developers would need to pay in exchange for additional cost and schedule certainty up front. And other transmission providers have also been making some very good improvements in how the transmission planning will relieve the burden on the queue, such as California ISO. And in the past, ERCOT and MISO, they've had good examples of how transmission planning and construction improves the interconnection process. Second, we've got the topic of project prioritization, and that was also top of mind at the workshop. And in this concept, transmission would develop or enhance their project prioritization using different concepts. This will likely prove to be quite important as we head to these shrinking reserve margins between the generation and load. But one example out of several is the use of transmission facilities for interconnection that are currently being used by retiring generators, such as coal plants. And this would enable new generation to connect to the system much quicker. Project prioritization is being looked upon very favorably by many in the industry, but it also has to be done carefully so that FERC's principles of open access and a level playing field for everyone looking to interconnect is not compromised. And then a third, additional fast track processes were discussed in the workshop. And while transmission providers already have some fairly limited mechanisms by which selected projects are able to have their studies done on an accelerated basis, there is interest in how to do this quicker and for more projects. This is closely tied to number 2, project prioritization. And in this case, special attention needs to be paid so that the benefits in this process don't treat the projects going through the conventional queue in an unfair manner. That's all I have for now. You can find me at heatspring.com, where I've got 2 courses, one on transmission and one on interconnection to transmission. Thank you very much. So long.